Accept This Moment podcast and the Learning God Ministries are proud to bring you the My God, Your God podcast as we dive deeper into our relationship with this divine power and how it directly affects your life, and where we ask the question, whatever you do, are you doing it with God?
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of My God, Your God, where whatever we do it with God. I'm John Emilio, along with, as always, with Michael Commorato. Michael, my friend, how are you, my man? How's everything?
I'm doing very well. I'm Michael Commorato, along with John Emilio. Whatever we do it with God, don't we?
Absolutely, man.
That's
Absolutely.
the message. All right. Good night. Thank you for the show, everybody.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, we're back from which was the fastest month of all time.
Yeah, I know, went quick.
Yeah, the Halloween month comes. As soon as 4th of July hits, it's Christmas.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I mean, it's just so fast, you know.
Yeah.
And that's time. That's what we live. We live in time. God is outside of time. I know nobody really understands that either, because it's hard to put that into context.
Yeah,
where all we know is time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
I just want to start. Oh, get you.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying. Go ahead, bud.
I just want to start out with a couple of the good rapport that we've gotten.
I love it
on my end. Thank you for the last session. And what are you guys going to say for this coming session? And I never know. I tell them literally, I have no idea until the record light goes on.
What we're going to talk about. We were just talking about what do you want to talk about? Like, I have a couple notes. I'm like, well, you know what? Let's just let the Holy Spirit guide us today. Let the Holy Spirit take us where we have to go.
I have a hostage note list of things here that I have no idea. I can't read it. I don't know what it says. I can't read it anyway with my eyes. So,
oh, my God.
So how about it's there as a crutch.
How about this? So what you said in your note, actually, it'll play into it because it has to do with gratitude and all that beautiful stuff, which could play into any topic we talk about. So how about this one? I think you saw this post. I posted something on Facebook maybe 5-6 days ago. It was a clip of this. There's this Bible teacher that I kind of follow, right? Actually, I think his handle is called The Bible Teacher.
Yes.
And it was, he makes these videos, and a lot of them are really, really good, right? And they're all biblically based. So, but they're really good. He like plays the characters of God in a person or of the apostles, whatever it may be. But this one, he says, a person says to Jesus, "I'm ready to follow you," and Jesus replies to him, which is a message that's throughout the Bible also. "Are you ready to die for me?" And he was like, "Well, what do you mean? You're supposed to give me life?" He goes, "Yes, before I could give you abundance in life, you need to die for me." And he had a hard time understanding what that means. My kind of caption was, if you know, you get what this means. Like, if you know, you get it.
Yeah.
Right? What is Jesus saying to us when he says, in order for you to receive my blessings, you need to die for me? I think my interpretation of that, and actually from what I've learned and from what I've read throughout the Bible, is I think it's kind of two parts. One, it's a dying of your old self. So you can't say you want to follow Jesus while you're still the old person that you were before you encountered Jesus. Make sense?
That's very true.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's a acceptance of Jesus suffered for us. So there is a certain amount of suffering. Now, it doesn't have to be like, oh my God. It's how do you interpret that? That's up to you. But there is a certain amount, and maybe if I get the chance to ask this question, in 100 years when I meet the maker himself, I'll ask him, why is it that there is, when you go to Christ, when you go to Jesus, when you go to God, and you really and truly become a Christian and follow him, like following him, I say means living like him, right? We have the Sunday warriors that they say they're Christians and they say they go, whatever church you go to, whatever it is. That's great. You say you follow Jesus. You say you believe in Jesus, but how many actually do? Following Jesus, there comes sacrifices that need to be made. Right.
Yeah,
and that sacrificing can cause certain pains and uncomfortable feelings, sufferings, if you want to use that word, that are required almost for you to endure. Right. And are you willing to accept and endure those? And I think if you do, and you go through those hardships that it takes to be a good Christian. So what do we mean by hardships? Do we mean like, if you follow Jesus, you have to have pain of this or pain of that? No, it's, when you follow Jesus, watch how certain things in your life get stripped away in the beginning. But it's the things that served you no purpose while he's building you for your true purpose. Right? There's pain in that, right? I could say there's people who look at me crooked-eyed nowadays, right? Like, John's a little wacky. When did he become a religious?
I get that.
Yeah. When did he become a religious? Yeah. When did he become this religious zealot all of a sudden?
Yeah.
God, Jesus, God, Jesus, God, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I haven't changed, but those people have distanced themselves. And it could be that they distance themselves for whatever reasons they have, but maybe it's for my growth in whatever his purpose is for me. They need to be pulled away a little bit. And there could be pain and suffering because some of those relationships, there was nothing wrong with them before, right? They could have been great people, good friends or whatever, family members. And they just kind of like, oh, well, shit, John, you're a little too godly for me now, right? So I think there's that kind of suffering and pain. Then there could be, the actual living your life like him. When you want to live like Jesus, smoking the weed and getting drunk every weekend, going to strip joints, doing all those, like you say, the earthly things.
Yeah.
It strips away. And I say it'll strip away almost like you don't want to do them anymore, even though that idea of them being there might be there still because we're human, but you don't want to do them because you'd rather follow him. And there is an uncomfortable feeling in that. There is a sort of a pain and a suffering and I need to carry this cross in order to be for him. Does that make sense?
Well, it goes with our slogan. Whatever you do, do it with God.
Crap.
So if you're smoking and drinking on the weekend, that's, fine. But you're doing it with God. And then you have to really think to yourself, is God happy with what I'm doing at this moment?
Exactly.
I'm not saying drinking or whatever. We're not
saying having a drink is a bad thing. I'm talking like the abuse of those things. Yes.
It's abuse of anything. Right. Abuse of food, abuse of whatever. You could abuse things. That Absolutely. Means that word alone means I'm doing too much.
I love it.
Of gluttony of whatever it is.
Good.
And it doesn't have to be food, as I said.
Yeah. No.
It goes to with God. How deeply picture yourself as a tree. I just saw the terrible weather, Hurricane 5 in Jamaica.
Oh,
I'm looking at the pictures, and it was awful. But there are some trees that are withstanding the wind that I'm amazed at that they're not uprooted and blown out of the whole sky. And then really, it put me into perspective. That's your roots. How strong are your roots with God?
I like that analogy. The storm is going to come,
and you see, you can't write this down. So I didn't write this down. Your roots have to be as strong, embedded in God as possible. Yeah, it's okay. You call on God when there's a storm. You need God. You're great. The true God knower is the one that calls on God when they don't need him. I don't need God. God likes that. That means you're calling on him anyway, and you're doing things with him, for him. What does that mean, Mike? You get these questions all the time. It's very hard. Do you think you're bowing your head in prayer and you're doing it with God? No. You just go about your daily life like a normal human being that God made you, but just be conscious. Be conscious of what you're, I didn't use my conscience there. Be conscious of what you're doing and always say, I'm doing this with God, whether I bring him into the picture or not, he's in the picture. So you really got to just watch your P's and Q's, I guess, so to speak.
When you do something like our slogan, right? Or it was your slogan that I kind of adopted also for the show.
Well, no, it's everybody's slogan.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
Yeah.
When we do something, we do it with God. In doing it with God, I think the outcome, or if you're truly doing it with God, if you're truly doing something with God in your life, right? That's what it means when we say everything you do it with God. It means do it with the idea of God in your life, or idea of Jesus Christ in your life. When you do that and you're going to take that action, whatever action it might be, and you say, I'm going to do this with God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. I'm going to do this with them in my life, with them in this moment, already dictates it'll dictate what your action's going to be, like how you're going to go about it. So like if you were going to go out and you're at a club, just whatever, hanging out with your friends, and you're a married guy, but you went out for somebody's whatever party or something, and this good looking girl comes up to you and starts talking to you, and very easy. He has there's nothing that's off limits to him. So he'll come and goes, this is how I'm going to get this Christian guy. I'm going to send him a woman that he could not fathom, would ever like him, would ever even talk to him. It will be the temptation of temptations. in that moment, if you say to yourself, whatever I'm doing here tonight, I'm going to do it with God in my life. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a good time with your friends, joke, hang out, maybe have a beverage, good times, a little dancing. But when that girl comes up to you now, and now she wants to talk to you and she wants to engage you, right? And then the devil's, here come these tempting thoughts of yours. Well, if I say I'm going to do it with God, I already know, well, this is only going to go so far. If she wants to talk for a second, I'll be polite, but then I leave it there. I won't engage it. But if we're not doing that with God, how easy is it, right, to get pulled into that, right? Because like we said, Satan holds nothing back. He will come after you. And the more Christian you are, the more God loving you are, the harder he comes at you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You hear things differently with God. You see things differently with God. Here's
I love that.
Yeah, well, it's true. When I just want to go back to a listener.
Sure, go ahead.
Got a hold of me, and this is about this, of course. When he wanted to know why I didn't say a prayer before each show, because I am a minister. How come I'm not praying before the show? And my response to him was, I do pray before each show. I pray now. I pray during the show. My retort was, do you pray before you listen to the podcast? And his answer to me was, no, I don't. I said, well, if you really want to be with God and maybe get something out of the podcast and listen to it, say a prayer with God and you.
Absolutely.
That God, bring me through this and maybe I'll get a message out of it. Now, here's the happy part.
That was good.
Not that it wasn't happy. He heard it the first time, blah, blah. He heard it the second time with his wife. So we listened to the cast twice. Same episode. It was the Halloween one that we just did.
Okay, we just did.
Listened to it with his wife. This time he prayed. So now he gets back with me and says, you know what? I prayed and I heard the messages differently because he asked God. He did it with God. And that was exactly what everybody has to do. So the homework this week is to pray before you listen to the podcast or before you do anything. Maybe you're going to get something out of it. And something in the podcast is going to hit you differently than if you did not pray before you listen to it. Yeah. So you do it with God. So you listen to this podcast with God.
Yeah, that's I know absolutely. I absolutely love that. Right. That is a class A 5-star response that you could give somebody in that situation, right? When they're asking you, because I've had that thought, should we start the podcast off with a prayer? But I'm like, I'm constantly talking to God all day long. Like I'm literally having conversations with him 30, 40 times a day. Right. So I'm like, yes, no, maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to Mike about it someday, but it's really not that important to me. But that response to go to the person is, instead of asking why we don't start with the prayer, how about do you pray when you live? Because I like my prayers to God will be like, even before the podcast, or if I'm working on something, I'll be like, listen, God, please allow the Holy Spirit to come and guide me. That's my that's my go-to. When I can't see something and I can't figure it out, I'll say, allow the Holy Spirit to come and guide me. Right. And that's it. Mm-hmm. That's my puppy in the background.
That's okay. God made him.
Yeah. God made him. And I was like, wow, that is a great, for me, that's a beautiful way to do it, because when I take myself out of the way is when I allow God and the Holy Spirit to do what he wants to do through us. Right. So when that person listened to it the second time and then said, wow, I heard something different. Well, look what you allowed. You allowed God to come in. You allowed the Holy Spirit to come in, and what he do, right? He allowed you to see something differently.
Absolutely. Knowing God, you were talking before at the beginning, that you've become this religious zealot and how do people see you? I know I've gotten that for the past 10 years. Mike's gone crazy. Have I? I was crazy before, believe me.
You're all crazy.
There's no difference. Don't worry. Don't ever worry that if you're with God, don't ever worry about what other people are thinking of you. Always worry about what God is thinking of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy to think about. I'm not going to do this God thing because I'm afraid, because there are other people around me and I don't want to say grace at the table and blah, blah, blah. Worry about what God is thinking of you at all times. It doesn't matter what Tom, Dick, and Harry are thinking down the block. It's what God, how he sees you.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You got to please God first. everything else falls into place.
Everything does fall into place. Yeah. If you allow God into your life, absolutely. It's when we try to do things on our own, right? There are certain things that, yes, you can do on you, like practical things. Yeah, obviously we could do practical things on our own. When we try to do things on our own to figure something out, or spiritually, or something that's just greater than us, not doing it with God is like walking in a dark room without a light. And now you're just hoping that you're going to find the door. Where instead, having God in your life, actually, it might not put the lights fully on at times, but it'll dim them enough where you'll see the path, right? Because they say Jesus and God, they're not here to give us what we want. They're here to show us our next step, right? Here's your next step. Don't worry about the step after that. Here's your next step. Here's your next step. And the only way you could do that is if you do it with God with God in your life, or else you're trying to make that next step. And I've done that in my life, my friend. And I could tell you it's not fun. It's burdensome.
It doesn't work out like you wanted it to.
No, not even doesn't work out. There's so much anguish and suffering and pain in there because you're trying to do all these things on your own when you could really do much more with him, much, much more with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Always do it. That's why we say always do it with God. You're not worried about what other people are thinking. Well, he made that move. No. Yes. You know why I made that move? God told me to make that move. God, we're speaking right now. Our spirits are speaking with each other through our bodies. I have a funny story before I even go into this speaking thing. The funny story, somebody also texted me, wanting to know why we kept talking about, we were talking about the Wizard of Oz a couple of times. And we were saying, okay, how come you keep mentioning Auntie M? Auntie M. I said, I've never mentioned Auntie M. Yes, you have. Auntie M, Auntie M. Until I realized, oh, you mean NDM.
Oh, NDM.
And NDM, for those that haven't heard the past podcasts, it's a moniker for near-death message.
Yeah.
Because I had that near-death thing going on. Yeah. And we said near-death message. So we're saying NDM. So anyway, funny. There's the funny NDM.
That's funny. I kind of say NDM.
So I don't know where I was going prior to that, but it doesn't really matter. Don't expect any kind of fair treatment here on this planet. You're not going to get any fair treatment from anybody. Yeah, you will. But I mean, for the most part, the devil lurks here. Don't expect anything that's going to everything be for you, for your spirit. As I said, we're talking with our spirits. Now I know where I was going with that. Our spirits.
See?
Our bodies use it.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Our bodies use our words and our thoughts, and our spirits converse with each other. An NDM that I had, one of the little messages that I received.
Yeah.
When you speak, if you're a God person, it goes right to God. It gets filtered and it goes into the person that I'm speaking to.
Wow.
Now this is crazy. It's almost like a God filter. So when you speak, you're a God guy. You speak, your words and your spirit goes to God, and then it comes to me. Let's assume someone is not a God person and is telling me just a blatant, awful lie.
Okay.
They could say it, but something in me ticks off because it gets filtered through God, and God tells me whether what you just said is true or false.
Okay.
And I don't want to keep thinking that I'm judging people. I'm not. It's really just a fail-safe.
Yeah.
To say, okay, you know what you're saying isn't making sense to me because God is telling me it's not making sense. And the filter goes both ways. Hopefully I'm saying the same thing and people are hearing my voice in this podcast saying, okay, well, God is filtering him into me. Is what he's saying true? So when I talk about my NDMs or my near-death experience, do people believe what I said? It's so hard to say and convince people that happened. You can't. Because if people did believe me and listen to what I had to say, they would all know God. So right now, a couple of them, they still don't know God nor want to know God. It's okay. But basically what the filter is telling me is they don't believe what I'm saying, which is okay. But, am I suddenly now this liar?
No. So
that
then
came into the planet?
But watch this. Who's filtering there? I don't think there's one filter. I think there's actually two filters.
Yes,
right?
There certainly is.
Because I've actually heard a lot about this, and I've been doing a lot of, like I said, reading, gospel reading lately too. And a lot of people that I follow, this is one of the common themes. People will say, how do I know if what I'm doing, how do I know if it's God's voice or if it's Satan's voice? How do I know if it's good or evil? And the biggest thing is, if your action brings you closer to God, it's God. If your action takes you, if that voice is pulling you farther away from God, it's not God.
And some people don't know because they don't even know God.
They don't even know God. Yeah,
they don't even know they're getting taken away from.
They don't even know they're getting, because they'll hear these voices that they believe is their mind giving them opinions, but they don't see that there's an actual spiritual influence on what we hear, what we think, right, and our thoughts and images that we have. And which one is the one that's telling Mike that guy is full of crap, and which one is the one that's telling Mike, well, Mike, like, how's the tone of the voice that you're hearing in your head? Is it Michael, this person isn't for you, right? That could be God saying, stay away. And ungodly voice maybe could be a little bit more judgmental. It could be a little bit more, well, who is he to talk to me like, it could be subtle differences in it, but not even to get into that, because that could really confuse. That could be confusing. Does it bring you closer to God? Yes or no? Because there are two. So what you just said, like that filter, makes so much sense. And the fact that you said it was an NDM, like, I believed it before, but I actually believe it. If it's possible, I believe it more now, because you experience, and we've never had this conversation about this. You just said something that I have been experiencing and kind of looking into on my own, right? And you said it was a message you got. So I believe that 110%, that yes, when we talk to God or when we say something or pray, it does get filtered. And if you want to pray for somebody, if that person is receptive, that prayer will reach them, and whatever the prayer was for, it'll affect them in one way or another, right? Then it's up to them to either accept it or not accept it. We can't.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
There were so many messages, and that is it. Yeah, just think of God as your filter, and it's a filter of truth. It's a filter of love. I don't know what else. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But good and bad is all relative anyway. I understand. But truth is truth. Whether it be good or bad, truth is still truth. And that is exactly what this filter does. And you're right. It could be the truth of Satan, which
he will try
out of people's mouths. Yeah. This is just what the filter is saying. But with my God head, make sure God's in your head before you get out of bed. Hey, is that another line I just made? Make sure God's in your head before you get out of bed.
I like that one.
I like that.
That'd be a good
Don't
t-shirt.
even wake up in the morning. Just I'm really serious. I'm writing this down. I'm getting a pen and I'm writing this down.
Make sure God's in your head before you get out of bed. Make sure God's in your head
before you get out of bed, and
that's a great way to start the day.
Keep him with you throughout the day, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to start the day.
So you'll see things in a brand new way. What is happening? This is like a Dr. Seuss novel.
Well, I think God's hearing you, and he's giving you some downloads right now.
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm definitely going to fast forward to this part of the podcast and write that down. That's great. See, things just come. This is God's filter. They do. No, man. Don't even say I don't know. It is, because I'll be in the shower, and I've said this to my wife, and I don't know why that's a place where I get these insights. And you'll know when it's not your voice, like when it's not you talking to yourself. When you're trying to think of something and you're sitting there and you're like, I gotta figure this out, and I'm trying to wrestle with it. But then out of the blue, pop, this insight just drops onto you, right? I've always said those insights, and by the way, the insights always tend to be insights of, something beneficial, something I want to work on, either with the podcast or a book or something, or an insight of, I got to post this. I have to write this, forgiveness is blah, 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 whatever it might be. Like I posted something about forgiveness yesterday. Like that's where they come. And I say, I don't take credit for those. Those aren't me. That's the Holy Spirit talking to me saying, here is something beneficial for you, right? Yeah.
But you only get those if you're willing to hear them. And if you're willing to hear them, then the issue becomes, how do you discern between the God filter and the non-God, but the non-God filtered voices, the ones that tell you, try to dissuade you, pull you away from God, even if they masquerade as God at times, because they can, right? They say they in the Bible it says, that Satan can masquerade himself as the angel of light. Like even Satan come to you and be like, no, I'm not trying to pull you away. No. But just talk about this for now instead, right? Or don't, just anything that'll pull people or just take their eyes off of God, right? Because that's all he wants to do is take our eyes off of God. Doesn't want to necessarily say, I want you to worship me. No. Just don't look at him.
Yeah, look over here just for a second. I just want to show you something.
Absolutely.
And then you make your own decision of whether you like this or not. And I just want to also mention a family member of mine, good news, of course, this past month has what we call accepted Christ.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was too, because it was a family member who I never thought would have accepted Christ. But then who cares what I think? It doesn't matter what I think. So this is something that hit us pretty hard, but in a lovingly good way.
Absolutely.
So this person did accept Christ, and it wasn't because I'm the family quote unquote minister. It had nothing to do with me. And then a lot of people say, well, that's God's timing. Maybe, but God's timing, he wants everybody to be in his family. So I don't know about timing, because he's looking for every single solitary person at every moment of the day to come to him. So I don't think it's about timing. But this person made a conscious decision to say, I now know God, and I know God through Christ. And to me, that's great. That's how it's done. It's not done by selling a book of raffle tickets, and hopefully one person in the raffle gets the win. And I'm not saying it's a win, but in my eyes it is.
Of course it is. Yeah.
But, this is it was a great thing that happened to us. I just wanted to throw that out there. And again, it's not God's timing. It's really about the people's timing, because everybody can do it at any time, because God is always there. He's ready to accept you at all seconds of the day.
Absolutely. God is always there. Always there waiting for you. What I will say is, this person, how close are they to you? I'm going to try to make a point here. How close are they to you?
Oh, very close.
Very close. And you said before,
I promised I wouldn't mention any names or relations.
That's fine. You don't have to. I was just curious, but if it was somebody close.
They're very close member of the family.
Okay, very close member of the family. So you said you had nothing to do with it, and it's not maybe God. And I'm going to try to, not that I'm trying to prove you wrong, but I'm going to show you where you're not giving yourself, and maybe even you're not giving yourself any credit. But watch, you said that you had nothing to do with it, and it's not God's timing; it's that person's choice. Well, you're absolutely correct. It is that person's choice. Nobody could be forced to love God and want to obey and follow God. But God's timing was to put you in a position where even if you don't believe that you had anything to do with it, because I'm the same way, and people tell me you had a great impact on that person's life, you don't see what you did. You're what you went through, what you're doing now, what you've been doing for the last X amount of years, right? Had an influence on that person, even if you want to believe it. And that was God. That is God's timing. God saying, I'm going to get to that person through you, Mike. Through you, I'm going to get to that person, right? Through you, I'm going to get to that other person. Through you, I'm going to get to that other person. Because, Mike, if I don't have you, or John, if I don't have you, I don't get that person. I don't get that person. I don't get that. So even if it's 20 people in the accumulation of your life, or 2,000 people, or 2 million people, those people wouldn't be touched if you didn't go through what you did, if you didn't have the experience you did, and if you're not doing what you're doing now, right? Same goes for me on the other side of the screen here, right? So when we say, and that's the humility in us, which is great, we should have that. It's not me, and you're right. It wasn't you, but it was God's timing through you, right? That's how I see it.
Listen, I'm going to send you $10. What's your address?
It's free.
Yes. That's true. And I should have, you don't like to see it that way.
No, you don't.
I'm about as humble as I possibly could be.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I hear you.
I don't want to walk around, hey, all right, listen, I'm a minister. I want you to listen to everything I have to say because it's true. And you are, I like the way you spun it. I think it's very.
Well, it's. I'm not even trying to spin it to make you feel bad. It's actually, but isn't that how God works? Yeah, that's how God works, right? God works through us. I'm like, we're vessels for him. Like, whatever I'm doing, bro, it's him. Like, okay, yeah, he's using me as a vessel. I'm very thankful if I'm that vessel that can help somebody. But it's like, it's him working through us. So even if you know that he's working through, humility. I'm just like you, where I'll be like, no, guys, I don't want no credit. I don't take no credit. I'm glad that you found him. Like, I'm happy that you're in a better place. I'm happy you have the relationship. I don't need the credit, because once we start saying, you're right? Once we start saying, well, look at me, Minister Mike, Learning God Ministries. I did it. I brought 10 people over. Well, that you're not being very Jesus-like now, because that's not humility. So
that's too self-serving.
Right? Exactly. So I get why you say it that way, but just so people understand how he actually works. I mean, we're not his puppets, but we're his vessels. So he used you to reach that person, and I'm sure many other besides this one person, right? So
and I believe that happened for this person and my family to now reach another person, and it's just going to constantly spin like that.
Bingo!
It's the light that you shine. Exactly. I know you hear that expression all the time.
Yeah.
How much of your light? It can only go so far. I can't light up the entire United States, but I could light up my 15-foot radius.
Yeah.
And if there's people in that 15-foot radius, whether it's through a podcast or wherever, if they're in that light and they could grab it a little bit and spread that light into them and let them spread that light to someone else that I don't know. And that's how it just...
that's how it works.
That's God's way, right? Exactly.
We don't understand why or how he does things, and it's not for us to understand that. We just understand that he does do these things.
Yeah.
And I would say, if we're in a position where we could reach a person or 10 people or 20 people or 100 people, then one thing I'll always pray to God, and I'll always say is, use me as you see fit. Like,
right.
I won't say because I used to pray a certain way. God, let me help somebody. And I started to realize in learning more, right? Because I said, I'm reading the Bible cover to cover, and I'm about, I'd say 30% through it right now. I'm in Chronicles. I'm learning one thing. When we say things like, let me, we're taking
it away
from God and Jesus. We're
from
taking,
using God, from needing God, right?
I'm saying, no,
right.
God, let me do it. And God's like, no. I don't need you to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it through you, but I'm going to, that's how it works. Don't worry about it. I'm going to tell you, God's like, I'll take care of it. You don't have to you just be there. And when it's time, it's going to happen through you. And that's it. Right. Yeah. And I started changing my prayer and being like, God, let me. And I'm like, God, use me as you see fit. And I'll pray for somebody directly. I say, listen, this person could use some help, God. If you could send the Holy Spirit to them, that would be great. Help enlighten them. And like, it's not like, God, I love this person. Please let them for my own sake. I hate to see them, because then you're making it about you again, right? That's a very selfish kind of prayer. It's like using God as a genie, right? And saying,
we've talked on that.
Yeah, make my wish come true, right? So,
I'll tell you, I used to pray, God, because I have a couple of medical things.
Yeah, I get it.
It's okay. Everybody knows the heart attack I had 10 years ago. That was a medical thing, believe it or not.
I would say that, yes.
So, but this got me to do what I'm doing now. Otherwise, I never would have done this.
No.
But of course, now there's some ailments, and you say, please God, if you could just help me a little bit with this situation.
Absolutely.
Am I being selfish? I don't know. But my body can get older.
Yes.
And your body can get older. I love when people say to me, don't get old. No. Get old.
Get old.
Because you don't want the other thing yet.
No.
Get old. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, but my body's getting so weak. Yeah, I know your body's getting weak, but check this out. If you know God, your spirit and your knowledge of God is getting stronger. So maybe you're weak in body. Maybe at 80 years old, I'm going to have a weaker body than I do now. I don't see how, but maybe. But by the time my spirit is going to be much stronger than it is now, which
absolutely,
which I can't even athletes, you ever go to an old timers baseball game?
Yeah.
They can't even throw the ball to home plate. I mean, they start to lose their pizzazz. But if they know God, their spirit is just going to get stronger and stronger, and their knowledge of God will grow way more than their body ever was strong.
So here's my take on that. So you're absolutely right. I mean, our bodies do age. We all have ailments as we get older, right? Whether it's a medical condition or a serious medical condition or a not so serious one, or just aches and pains, whatever it might be. As we get older, it's the natural process of life that we're meant to age and die, right? That's the only thing that's guaranteed in life. God will guarantee you one thing: you will die. Right. So know me before you die, but you will die. Right. That's the one known thing that we know.
Well, your body will die.
Your body will die.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm going with this, right?
I know you knew that, but we got English language in our head.
Yeah, no. But you actually you make that's great, because that's where I'm going with this. Our body will die. Our body is meant to die. Are you that attached to the worldly flesh that you don't realize you have a spirit that is connected to God? And if you don't realize that, then there's a fear of the death. There's a fear of the illness. There's a fear of getting sick and being sick, because that's going to happen. Whether you're a devout Christian or not, you will get sick or get hit by a bus. Good thing, somehow. Death happens to the most devout, and God-loving people. It's just hard. That's how he gets you back to with him, is you need to leave here to go back to where where we came from, or to go back to God. So if our attachment is if we're so attached to the aches and the pains and the medical things we go through, your time on earth is gonna be, instead of, like you said, instead of doing things with God and finding the blessings in it, right? You're going to be more concerned with, I have this, I have that, I have the other thing. And now you're not inviting God into your life anymore, because you're just complaining. We're complaining about the things that we have wrong with us. Right. So if you're an older person and you have aches and pains and you're 75 years old, 75, that's great, right? You've been blessed with a nice life so far. But realize that this needs to die off for that to come. Like you don't want to be here forever. You don't. Like, somebody says, would you want to live forever? No, I don't want to live forever, because I know.
Not my body anyway.
No, not my body. No, I don't want to live. I won't want to live forever, but I would love to, because I know my spirit needs to go somewhere else after I pass. Mike, you experienced that. Like I haven't, right? Thankfully, not thankfully, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of split on that. I'd love to experience it.
I know.
Maybe I don't want to experience it, but you experienced that, right? You got to see that, which is amazing, right? The spirit's going to want to go somewhere, after we pass.
There is, and this is the hope for everyone. And if you don't believe me, that's fine, because, Mike is probably a liar, but please listen to me. There is what we call an afterlife. I call it after death. It's like your body's dead, but you don't die.
Like that.
You do go somewhere. I can't say this enough. And it's so hard to put into words, because it's wordless. Other than it's not earth, but it's in this incredible place that I didn't go to. I never saw what we call heaven, the English language definition.
Yep.
But all I know is I was told, blah, 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 here it goes with Crazy Mike again, that there is a place and everyone must know God through Jesus Christ to get there. The only alternative is you'll be somewhere else. I'm not saying it's hell or whatever, but it's not going to be with God in heaven. That is such a pivotal message that you only have to make that choice right here. But you got 60, 70, 80, 90. If you get 100 years out of it, you got all that time to make that choice. If I'm the stupid guy, the crazy guy that went off the boat, that is to tell you, please listen to me. This isn't from what I learned in a textbook. I know I went to ministry school. I don't teach anything I learned in ministry school. Everything I teach or talk about is from Anti-M and NBM. So, Anti-M told me everything that I could share with everybody. And there is hope for every single solitary person on the planet that thinks they have a different religion, they have a different culture, different language. It doesn't matter. The human being is a human being. So we'll get into the pets, maybe another session.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do pets go? I'll answer that question. That was a very specific answer, by the way.
Really?
But I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you.
Did you discuss that Did you discuss that in your videos and Learning God Ministries? So I just listened to another one yesterday, actually.
Yeah, there were a lot of more messages that I only have 22 videos, but
yeah, I'm on like 17. I think
I have more than, I don't know, hundreds of little things that I just didn't talk about. You know,
can I ask you a question? And this is what all discussion. I don't think I've ever asked you this. When it happened at that moment, that moment where you were outside of your body and you saw the orbs and you're getting all this information, and I know you're not, it's not an earthly feeling anymore, but if you could, is there any way you could describe like what was it? A peace, a calm, a feeling of love, or
it was complete. Let's say, first of all, weightlessness was one thing. I had no weight and I had no time. Which is, we're back to the beginning of this message.
I remember that.
Time is strange.
Earthly. Yeah.
I mean, time is a very physical thing here on this planet.
Yeah. God survives.
Which makes us old.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But God is outside of it. And I didn't feel time until I was back in my body in the emergency room. And I felt time, which is almost impossible to think about. And it was a very peaceful, loving, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of losing my loved ones. I wasn't thinking that way.
Because
my thinking wasn't, oh no, I'm here and my loved ones are there. I didn't think that at all. I thought very differently. And knowing that I was with God, or I don't want to say that, but whatever gave me the messages.
Yes.
I'm assuming it was a God thing. When I was with that presence, I felt nothing but natural, more natural than I feel when I came back into my body. And when I came back in, I was like all sick again. And I'm like, oh God, what is happening? How am I back in this? Even my fingers felt heavy. Everything was just heavy. And time was back.
So those were the feeling of calm, peace, love, and I love the weightlessness and the nose and the no time.
And colors. Colors were very vibrant. They were colors that I didn't even know existed, which is impossible. Of course, you never saw chartreuse red, but no, there was something about the beauty of the colors.
Pure.
That
there was a purity to them.
Strange. And it was in the spheres. It was in everybody's sphere. There was a color and sound. There was I know I'm a musician. So it's easy for me to say I'm a musician. No, but everybody's heard music, and you don't have to be a musician to hear music.
Sure.
But the sounds of, I can't say it was music, other than it was like a tone. It was a constant tone, but the tone was so peaceful. It was like nothing we've ever heard here on earth.
So it's not like
any instrument that we've heard.
It's not like my tinnitus in my ears that I hear ringing all the time.
Yeah, right.
No. Okay.
That's called torture tone.
All right.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that's not the tone then.
No, that's not the tone.
I'd be like, God, I've had this for 30 years. I don't need to hear it for eternity.
Well, you're a pro at it now. I mean, more on this. I was going to start like the God code. I think I won't start that till like January. But I know we got Christmas month coming up.
Absolutely.
And of course, we have the Thanksgiving month, which is what we're in. Unless you're not listening to this podcast in November. Shame on you.
Shame on
And that's all I got to say, man. I'm hanging up my hat.
Yeah, me too. I'm good with that. I think that was a great episode. Lots of great content, good messages for everybody. Hopefully people get a lot out of it. And, have any questions, definitely reach out. But I'm good too, Mike. I am.
Make sure God's in your head before you get out of bed.
Make sure
and
God's
keep him throughout the day so you see things in a brand new way. Oh man, that's like
I want that T-shirt when you get it printed. You can go and Amazon prints T-shirts. You go to Amazon and have it made up. I'm telling you.
Yep. And of course, that's not our ending close.
Nope.
But here it is. Don't forget, whatever you do,
do it with God.
I love it. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Give God all the thanks.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
Yep, bye.
We'll see you next month.
Yep. Love to all. Peace.
Thanks for listening to today's show. We hope you get as much out of this as we do. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share to help us spread God's love. Don't forget, whatever you do it with God.